This is you. You are a willow ptarmigan. You are born into the world soaking wet, covered in fluids from the egg that once contained you. It looks like you're not alone. There are other shells here in this strange place. It turns out you have quite the big family. 8 siblings. They are just as equally confused as you are about the situation they have been born into. All of you are immersed in darkness. The ceiling above your heads is soft and feels like a cushion. Turns out, that's just your mother. She spent the last 22 days incubating your siblings in a nest she constructed by scratching out a depression in the earth. She then lined it with all sorts of natural fillings to make it comfortable and insulating. Now the wait is finally over. You and your siblings are born. But when can you leave the darkness and get some fresh air? There. Your first glimpse of the sunlight. You are immediately greeted by the willow plants that surround your parents' domain. They look quite tasty. More than 20 days in an egg has given you quite a big appetite. Maybe you should take a munch out of that tree. Unfortunately, your digestive system isn't mature enough to handle leaves and sticks. But bugs, that's more fitting. This will be your primary food source until your stomach grows strong enough to handle the adult diet. Now, as a newborn ptarmigan, you might ask, what does fate hold in store for you? Well, for starters, you are and will always be at the bottom of the food chain. Almost all the predators in your habitat want to get a piece of you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. To these creatures, you are an enticing meal. To make you feel slightly better about yourself, your mother tells you and your siblings a story about your ancient ancestor, Tyrannosaurus rex, one of the most fearsome predators ever to walk the earth. If Gramps were around, he would surely teach those bullies a lesson. Unfortunately, your mother was lying. Your real ancestor was more likely this bird-looking fellow over here, called Dipteryx, who is about the size of a modern-day turkey. This means Grandpa over here would have been considered a snack by some of the same predators eyeing you. Before you spend your short life crying about the unfairness of the world you have been born into, you should learn about some adaptations that you have to survive in the wild. You see, ptarmigans are known for their big pectoral muscles. You will grow these muscles quickly in your first few days of life. Supposedly, these help keep you warm in the harsh Arctic climate. You also have a pair of feathered feet. This allows you to strut across the snow as if you were wearing snowshoes. You also have the advantage of having dedicated and loving parents. As a willow ptarmigan, your father will protect you and your siblings until you reach maturity. This is something not observed in any other grouse species in the world. You should feel lucky you have such a great dad. Your parents will use the following 2 methods to protect you and your siblings from harm. Number 1, your parents are master actors. If a predator ventures too close, one of your parents will feign injury to lure the predator away from the nest. When the predator is far enough away, your parent will fly off and make their escape. The other method is an old-fashioned dive bomb. Although ptarmigan primarily spend time on the ground, they are still strong and agile flyers. Enough hits from these can chase away even the most determined of predators. And if God forbid something bad happens to your mother, your father will take over and finish the incubation process for you and your siblings. And while your adaptations may net you an F4D in a Tirzu video, your kind really isn't doing too bad in today's chaotic world. Your conservation status is least concern. Your habitat spans a big chunk of Europe, Asia, and North America. Your population is plentiful. Anyways, let's get back on track. In spite of all your parents' efforts and your adaptations, 80% of Ptarmigan chicks will not make it to adulthood. Looks like you two were the lucky ones.
Several months later.
You and your sister are now young adult ptarmigans. You have grown into your adult feathers and lost the fuzz you once had as a chick. As a male ptarmigan, you sport 2 red combs above your eyes, which your sister and your mother lack. As adult ptarmigan, you group with your family for a trip in preparation for the upcoming fall and winter. Your family joins other groups of ptarmigans in a large migratory flock. Eventually, these flocks are separated by gender. The males migrate south, and the ladies migrate even further south. Here, you and your male buddies will stay until the arrival of spring. In the meantime, you extensively browse on willow leaves during the summer and fall. By the winter, your brown feathers will be replaced by white. The leaves on the willow shrubs are now all gone. It is time for you to eat sticks. Yum. After a long and cruel winter, it is time for spring. With the arrival of spring, it is time for you to separate from the flock. As a young, healthy male, there is only one thing on your mind. It is time for you to find a mate. To increase your chances of success, you pull out your internal guidebook and search up the secrets that establish you as an eligible bachelor. The first step, find some property. Done. And you weren't ripped off. Great. Now you have to find some females. You notice 2 attractive hens strolling about on your territory. It's time to make your move. Most ptarmigans are monogamous, but some male ptarmigans are known to have multiple relationships at the same time. Maybe you're charming enough to make it work. You quickly make your grand entrance. They don't seem impressed. Is it true that ladies like French? Perhaps a demonstration of your linguistic capabilities will make them fall for you. Okay, that also didn't work. It's time for you to reach deep into your bag of tricks. An advanced display of flight might be just the thing to convince them of your worth. Well, better luck next time. There's a lot of hens in the tundra. I'm sure you'll eventually get one.
A few weeks later.
The last few attempts of courtship have all been a bust. Maybe it's time for you to try a different strategy before the mating season ends. And maybe a different approach at style will get you the results you want. You decide to look smacks in the mirror. After all, ladies like dapper gentlemen, right? Another eligible bachelorette wanders onto your territory. She looks like she has a good personality. Perhaps she might be the one. You present your case. It looks like everything is going well. Another male barges into your territory. His combs are like nothing you've ever seen before. It is often said that female ptarmigan choose males with the largest combs. All your attempts at courtship this year have been a failure. It's time to join the other males that haven't been so lucky. On second thought, maybe not. There is another approach you could try. You pack your belongings and set out on the road, headed for the north. You head on this path alone for many days and many nights. After many days, you see a ptarmigan that looks exactly the same as you, just slightly smaller. You are now in rock ptarmigan territory. Rock ptarmigan are a subspecies of ptarmigan that live further up north than willow ptarmigan. In terms of appearance and genetics, the two of you are almost identical. The biggest distinguishing factor is location. Willow ptarmigans reside in groves of willow shrubs. Rock ptarmigans like to reside in tundra where large vegetation is more sparse. Anyways, you already know the playbook. Time for you to demonstrate your superior wooing skills on these rock ptarmigan. You find yourself in nice territory and defend it from competing males. And now a female rock ptarmigan enters your territory. You check if she is interested. And what do you know? She is. Your gamble paid off. Now you have a mate. Let's fast forward and let the couple do their thing. She will begin to lay eggs, and she will incubate those eggs just like your mother did before you were born. Your duty is to protect your mate and your eggs. You stay and watch for about 20 days. On the 21st day, your mate lets you know that the eggs are about to hatch. Since you're now a rock ptarmigan, that means it's time to get out of town. Unlike willow ptarmigan, rock ptarmigan leave their young before they hatch. Talk about being a deadbeat father. Regardless, you've already fulfilled what you wanted to do in the first place. You decide to return back to your people and your home. You join up with a group of migrating male willow ptarmigan. Safety in numbers. You fulfilled your goal of finding a mate, so really you've got nothing left to prove. Maybe you'll meet her again next year. After all, ptarmigans tend to stay with the same mate for a few consecutive breeding seasons. So that's it. A year in the life of a ptarmigan. The average ptarmigan lives up to 2 years, but if you're lucky, you might even make it past 8. Each year brings the same cycle of birth, migration, and mating. The seasons pass. As winter approaches and the weather grows colder, you begin to return to your winter feathers. What a life this has been. It hasn't been too bad. You look forward to seeing spring.
Whew. There you go. It's a plump ptarmigan.
Holy cow, that he is heavy.
Yeah.
Good sized ptarmigan.
That's a girthy bird.